The first time I saw Lieutenant Maya Kessler, I made the same mistake every warrior in the Galactic Combat Initiative made. I thought she would break. Let me be clear about something. My name is Vorath, and I have served in 17 planetary campaigns across 9 star systems. I have watched entire battalions crumble under the weight of our training protocols. I have seen species with exoskeletons crack, beings who could lift hover tanks collapse from exhaustion, and soldiers bred specifically for warfare beg for mercy before the 3rd rotation ended. And then this human walked into our facility on Outpost 7 with a duffel bag slung over one shoulder and a smile that could only be described as disturbingly cheerful. "Hi," she said, waving at me like we were meeting at some social gathering instead of the most brutal military installation in 3 sectors. "I'm Maya. Where do I sign in?" I stared at her. My secondary hearts actually skipped a pulse cycle. She stood maybe 5 feet and 4 inches tall in human measurements. Her frame appeared so slight that I genuinely worried a strong wind might relocate her to another zip code. Her skin had this odd pale quality that suggested she had never seen actual combat, and her eyes, bright green and impossibly wide, scanned the facility with what I can only describe as enthusiastic curiosity rather than appropriate terror. "You are." I checked my datapad, certain there had been some catastrophic clerical error. "You are Lieutenant Maya Kessler? From Earth's Special Operations Command?" "That's me." She bounced slightly on her toes. Actually bounced. I know. Everyone says I look like I should be teaching kindergarten, not kicking butt. It's a whole thing. "Where's the barracks?" Greg Thar, my second in command, made a sound that roughly translated to a snort of disbelief. He was a Corthanian 8 feet of muscle and armored hide, and he looked at Maya the way one might look at a decorative flower someone accidentally planted in a minefield. "Human," he rumbled, his voice like grinding stone. "Do you understand where you are? This is not a vacation resort. This is not a basic training camp. This is the proving ground where the strongest warriors in the galaxy come to test themselves. 63% of candidates do not survive the first week." "Survive?" Maya's eyebrows shot up. "Oh, you mean like, they quit? Or they actually die?" "Both," I said flatly. "Huh." She tapped her chin thoughtfully. "Well, that's intense. Good thing I'm hard to kill." "So barracks?" I exchanged a look with Grekthar. In that moment, we shared the same thought. This human would be gone within 48 hours. Probably crying. Possibly in a medical pod. Definitely not making it past the first physical assessment. The galaxy had been extremely interested in humans ever since they joined the Interstellar Council 3 years prior. They were odd creatures, physically unimpressive, no natural weapons, relatively weak compared to most sentient species, and yet they kept showing up in places they had no business being. They volunteered for dangerous missions, they made jokes during crisis situations, and they had this deeply unsettling tendency to succeed when every logical prediction said they should fail. But combat training at Outpost 7? That required more than luck and optimism. That required genuine physical capability. "Follow me," I said, deciding to at least be professional about this impending disaster. The barracks housed 47 candidates from 16 different species. When Maya walked in, dragging her duffel bag behind her, the room went silent. Actually silent. That never happens in a military barracks. Usually there is arguing, posturing, equipment maintenance, something, but everyone stopped and stared. A Draconis warrior named Scarvel, who could breathe fire and whose scales could deflect plasma rounds, started laughing. Actually laughing. The sound echoed through the entire space like a volcanic eruption crossed with a hyena. "That is the human," he wheezed between guffaws. "That tiny soft thing. Oh, this is magnificent. I give her 6 hours before she runs home to her mother." Several other candidates joined in the laughter. Maya, to her credit, just smiled and waved again. "Hi everyone. I'm Maya. Looking forward to training with you all." This somehow made them laugh harder. I should mention something about the Galactic Combat Initiative's selection process. Only the absolute best warriors from each species get invited. Only the ones who have already proven themselves in actual combat situations. Only the ones who have recommendations from high-ranking military officials. The humans had sent 3 candidates before Maya. All 3 had washed out within the first week. So yes, the laughter seemed justified. Maya found an empty bunk, started unpacking her gear and hummed while she did it. Hummed. Like she was decorating a college dorm room instead of preparing for what would likely be the most physically demanding experience of her life. Grekthar pulled me aside. "Roth, this is cruel. She does not belong here. We should send her home before the training breaks her." "The human high command specifically requested she be given this opportunity," I replied. Apparently she has an impressive service record. Multiple successful operations. Several commendations. On paper she is qualified. On paper perhaps. But look at her. We both looked. Maya had pulled out what appeared to be a small stuffed animal. Some kind of earth creature called a cat, and propped it up on her pillow. Tomorrow morning will be educational, I said diplomatically, which was my polite way of saying it would be a complete disaster. The first day of training at Outpost 7 always begins the same way. 0400 hours. Full tactical gear. A 20-kilometer run through the volcanic highlands carrying 40 kilograms of equipment. In Earth gravity this would be challenging. In Outpost 7's gravity, which registers at approximately 1.8 times Earth standard, it becomes something else entirely. Most species take between 90 minutes and 2 hours to complete the run. The Draconid usually finish first because they are built like organic tanks. Humans, according to our records, typically fall somewhere in the middle of the pack. When the alarm sounded at 0400, I expected to find Maya struggling to even get out of bed under the increased gravity. Instead, when I entered the barracks, she was already fully dressed, gear secured, standing by the door doing some kind of stretching routine. "Morning, Commander Vorath," she said brightly. "Beautiful day for a run, huh?" It was pitch black outside. The air temperature measured -12 degrees. The volcanic highlands were actively venting toxic gases in 3 locations along the route. "You are enthusiastic," I managed. "Oh, I'm a morning person, plus I had coffee. You guys have coffee here, right? Please tell me you have coffee." We did not have coffee. Maya looked genuinely distressed by this information. The candidates assembled outside. 47 warriors in full combat gear, waiting for the signal to begin. Maya stood among them, tiny and pale and still somehow smiling. Scarvel, the Dreknath, positioned himself next to her. "Hey human, when you collapse at the 5-kilometer mark, try to fall to the side of the path. I would hate to trip over you on my way back." This generated more laughter from the surrounding candidates. Maya turned to him, that same cheerful expression on her face. "That is super considerate of you, but I will be fine. You seem nice though. What is your name?" The Draconis blinked, apparently not expecting actual friendliness. "I am Scarvel, champion of the Fire Clans, victor of the Battle of Carthon, bearer of the Crimson Mark." "Cool. I'm Maya. I once won a hot dog eating contest. 13 hot dogs in 8 minutes. Scarvel stared at her like she had just spoken in a completely invented language. I activated the signal beacon. "Begin." The candidates surged forward like a wave of armored destruction. The Draconis took the lead immediately, their powerful legs eating up distance. The Corthanian soldiers formed a tight pack in second position. The insectoid Clixthar moved with their characteristic skittering efficiency. And Maya, she started running at what appeared to be a comfortable jog. Not sprinting, not struggling, just jogging. Like she was out for a casual morning exercise session. By the 3-kilometer mark she had fallen to the back of the pack. The other candidates had left her behind, probably assuming she would drop out any moment. Grekthar and I monitored the run from our command hover vehicle, tracking each candidate's progress through their biomonitors. "The human's heart rate is elevated but stable," Grekthar observed, studying the readouts. "Her respiration is controlled. She appears to be pacing herself." "Smart," I admitted, "but pacing will not help when her muscles start failing under the increased gravity." By the 10-kilometer mark something interesting started happening. The Draconis in the lead positions began slowing down. Not dramatically but measurably. Their biosigns showed increasing strain. The Corthanian pack had spread out with several members falling back. Maya maintained her steady jog. By 15 kilometers, Scarvel was visibly laboring. His breathing had become ragged, his steps less certain. Other candidates were walking now, their bodies reaching their limits. Maya kept jogging. "This is unusual," Grekthar said slowly. By 18 kilometers, Maya had passed 7 candidates who had slowed to a walk or stopped entirely. Her heart rate had increased, yes, but not to dangerous levels. Her stride remained steady, mechanical, relentless. "What is she doing?" I muttered, genuinely confused now. At the 20-kilometer mark, Scarvel crossed first, collapsing immediately after. 3 other Draconis finished within minutes of each other, followed by a cluster of Corthanian soldiers. They all looked destroyed, their bodies pushed to absolute limits. Maya finished in the middle of the pack exactly as expected for a human, except she did not collapse. She did not even bend over to catch her breath. She just stopped running, put her hands on her hips and smiled. "That was fun. A little warm toward the end though. Is there water?" Scarvel, still lying on the ground trying to remember how breathing worked, turned his head to stare at her with an expression of pure confusion. "You," he gasped. "You are not even tired?" "Oh, I'm tired. But we have a lot more training today, right? No point wasting energy on unnecessary displays." She patted him on his armored shoulder and walked toward the water station. Grekthar and I looked at each other. "That was not normal human performance," he said quietly. "No," I agreed. "It was not." The rest of the day followed standard protocol. Hand-to-hand combat drills, weapons training, tactical simulations. By the evening, most candidates were struggling to even stand upright. Maya, impossibly, still looked functional. At dinner, I approached her table. She was eating something that smelled vaguely toxic, some kind of human field ration, and appeared to be enjoying it. "Lieutenant Kessler," I said, "you performed adequately today." "Thanks, Commander. This is harder than I expected. Honestly, that gravity is no joke." "How did you prepare for this assignment?" She swallowed a bite of her meal. "Oh, standard special operations conditioning. Lots of running, lots of functional strength training. Plus, I grew up in Colorado, which is high altitude, so my cardiovascular system is pretty efficient. Also, my grandmother was absolutely terrifying and made me do farm work every summer, so that probably helped." This explanation made zero sense to me. "You trained by doing agricultural labor?" "Yep. Hauling hay bales, fixing fences, chasing chickens. You ever try to catch a chicken that doesn't want to be caught? Best agility training ever." I stared at her. "I do not understand humans," I said finally. "Most people don't." She agreed cheerfully. "Want to try some of my trail mix? It has chocolate chips." I declined. That night I reviewed her service record more carefully. Multiple successful operations, yes. Several commendations, absolutely. But the details were classified at levels I did not have clearance to access. Whatever she had done to earn those commendations, Earth's military considered it sensitive enough to keep under serious wraps. The next morning began with what we called the Gauntlet, an obstacle course designed by military engineers who were probably trying to build the worst possible experience for biological organisms. Walls to climb, trenches to cross, simulated enemy fire. Sections filled with various atmospheric irritants. The whole thing stretched for 2 kilometers of pure suffering. The record was held by a Korthanian warrior named Vekthor who had completed it in 14 minutes. Most candidates took between 20 and 30 minutes. Some never finished at all. When Maya stepped up to the starting line, Scarvel, who had apparently decided to make antagonizing her his personal mission, called out from the observation area, "Human, if you survive this, I will personally teach you the proper way to hold a plasma rifle. You are doing it wrong." Maya turned and waved. "That's sweet. Thanks for the offer." The signal sounded. She exploded forward, and I mean exploded. The first obstacle was a 3-meter wall. Most candidates scaled it carefully, finding handholds, pulling themselves up with controlled effort. Maya hit that wall at full speed, jumped, caught the top edge with both hands, and in one fluid motion pulled herself up and over like gravity had personally offended her ancestors. The second obstacle was a water pit filled with simulated toxic liquid. Most candidates waded through cautiously. Maya dove in, swam across like some kind of aquatic predator, and emerged on the other side in seconds. "What is she doing?" Grekthar asked, watching the monitors with growing disbelief. "I have no idea," I admitted. The obstacle course had sections specifically designed to be painful. Sharp objects, extreme temperatures, things that would tear unprotected skin. Maya went through them like they were minor inconveniences. At the 12-minute mark, she crossed the finish line. 12 minutes, 2 minutes faster than the standing record. She stood there, breathing hard now, yes, covered in mud and artificial blood and probably regretting several life choices, but standing and smiling. The observation area had gone completely silent. Maya looked up at us, gave a thumbs-up gesture that apparently meant success in human culture, and called out, "That was intense. Can I go again?" Scarvel's jaw was hanging open so far I worried it might become dislocated. He started, then stopped, unable to find words. "Broke the record," Grekthar finished quietly. "A human just broke our facility record." This was when I realized we might have drastically underestimated Lieutenant Maya Kessler, and this was when things started getting really interesting. The atmosphere in Outpost 7 changed after Maya demolished the obstacle course record. The laughter stopped. The dismissive comments evaporated. Instead, the other candidates started watching her with something I can only describe as confused wariness, like they had just discovered their pet house cat was actually a miniature apex predator, which, as it turned out, was not an inaccurate assessment. Day 3 brought combat evaluations. This was where candidates demonstrated their fighting capabilities against progressively difficult opponents. both simulated and real. The evaluation system was simple. Win your matches, advance to harder opponents, lose too many matches, wash out of the program. Most candidates approached combat day with grim determination. It was the make-or-break moment, the test that separated genuine warriors from merely physically capable individuals. Maya approached it with her usual disturbing cheerfulness, and what appeared to be a homemade breakfast burrito she had somehow constructed from field rations. Big day, she announced to nobody in particular, taking a massive bite of her questionable food creation. Combat assessments are my favorite. Scarvel, who had been pointedly avoiding her since the obstacle course incident, finally broke his silence. Human. Maya. I must ask. How did you complete the gauntlet so quickly? What technique did you use? She looked genuinely surprised by the question. Oh. I just went fast? Like, the obstacles are there to slow you down, right? So I figured the best strategy was to not let them slow me down. Just keep moving forward as quickly as possible. That is not a technique, a Corthanian soldier named Vex Rail interjected. That is just describing the objective. Yeah, exactly. Mayo agreed brightly. Sometimes the simplest approach works best. Vex Rail looked like he was developing a migraine, which was impressive considering his species did not typically suffer from headaches. The combat arena occupied the central section of Outpost 7. It was a circular space approximately 50 meters in diameter, equipped with variable gravity controls, environmental hazard generators, and medical response systems for when things went badly. Things frequently went badly. I stood in the observation deck with Grekthar and the other evaluation officers, reviewing the day's match schedule. Maya was slotted against a Klixthar warrior named Scree for her first bout. The insectoid species possessed incredible speed, natural armor plating, and limbs that could strike with enough force to dent reinforced steel. Standard match rules, Grekthar recited into the communication system. Non-lethal force only. Fight continues until surrender, incapacitation, or referee stoppage. Contestants ready. In the arena below, Scree clicked his mandibles together in what I recognized as anticipatory excitement. His compound eyes tracked Maya's movements as she stretched her arms over her head, rolling her shoulders like she was preparing for a light workout. Ready, she called up. Begin. Scree moved first, launching himself across the arena with that characteristic insectoid burst of speed. His attack pattern was sound, approaching from an angle that would limit Maya's escape options, forelimbs extended for a grappling strike. Maya did not try to escape. Instead, she stepped forward into his attack, dropped below his extended limbs, and drove her shoulder into what I vaguely recognized as a vulnerable joint section in Scree's thorax. The Klixthar warrior crashed to the ground in a tangle of limbs. Before he could recover, Maya had somehow positioned herself on his back, one arm wrapped around his neck segment in what humans apparently called a chokehold. Tap out, she said cheerfully. No shame in it. You came in super fast. Scree struggled for approximately 4 seconds before making the universal submission gesture. The entire match had lasted maybe 10 seconds. Well? Said Grekthar into the stunned silence. That was efficient. Mia's second match was against a Draconis heavy fighter. Her third was against a Corthanian shock trooper. Her fourth was against a species I had never encountered before, something with tentacles and attitude problems. She won them all. Not closely. Not by lucky breaks or technical decisions. She won them decisively, quickly, and with what appeared to be minimal effort. By her 6th match of the day, word had spread throughout the facility. The viewing gallery was packed with off-duty personnel and candidates who had finished their own evaluations. Everyone wanted to see the tiny human who was systematically dismantling opponents who outweighed her by 100 kilograms or more. Her 6th opponent was a special request. Scarvel had volunteered. I must know, the Draconis warrior announced as he entered the arena. I must understand how you fight, so I challenge you properly. Human to Draconis, warrior to warrior. Maya grinned. Actually grinned. Oh, this will be fun. You seem really strong. I am strong, Scarvel confirmed. I am also fast, durable, and trained in 17 combat disciplines. I have fought in 32 battles. I have defeated champions from 6 species. You should be honored. I totally am. Ready when you are. The referee signal sounded. Scarvel did not make the mistake of underestimating Maya this time. He approached carefully, guard up, testing her responses with probing strikes. His technique was actually beautiful to watch, each movement precise and powerful. Maya defended casually, slipping punches, redirecting kicks, moving just enough to avoid contact while studying his patterns. You are good at this, she commented while dodging a strike that would have removed her head from her shoulders. Very technical, I like it. Scarvel pressed the attack, increasing speed and power. His strikes began coming in combinations high-low-middle, testing multiple defensive zones simultaneously. Maya kept slipping them, her movements becoming almost dance-like, flowing from one defensive position to another. Stop dodging and fight. Scarvel roared in frustration. Okay. Maya agreed. She stopped moving backward. Scarvel threw a massive overhand right, putting his full power into a strike designed to end the match immediately. Maya stepped inside his guard, caught his extended arm, used his own momentum against him, and executed what I later learned was called a hip throw in human martial arts. Scarvel, all 200 kilograms of armored Draconis warrior, flew through the air and crashed into the arena floor hard enough to crack the reinforced surface. Before he could even process what had happened, Maya had transitioned to an arm lock, hyperextending his elbow joint to the edge of structural failure. Tap or snap, she said, still cheerful despite basically holding his arm hostage. Your choice, big guy. Scarvel tapped. The viewing gallery erupted in chaos. Not cheering exactly, more like confused shouting in multiple languages, everyone trying to process what they had just witnessed. Maya released the arm lock and offered Scarvel her hand to help him up. He stared at it for a long moment before accepting. How? He asked simply. Leverage, timing, and a lot of practice, Maya said. Also, you telegraph your power strikes with a slight shoulder dip. Really small. Barely noticeable, but if you watch for it you can see the big attacks coming. Just a friendly tip. Scarvel looked like she had just revealed the secrets of the universe to him. That evening I called an emergency meeting with my senior staff. Gentlemen, I began using the human term because it seemed appropriate. We need to discuss the human. She is not normal, Vexrael stated bluntly. I have reviewed combat footage from 17 human soldiers. None of them moved like Lieutenant Kessler moves. None of them demonstrated her level of skill. Grekthar pulled up statistical data on the holographic display. Her performance metrics are off the charts. Strength to weight ratio, reaction time, combat efficiency, all measuring in the 99th percentile compared to known human capabilities. Either she is a genetic anomaly, or Earth's military has developed enhancement procedures they have not disclosed to the Council. Or, I said slowly, humans have been holding back. This generated uncomfortable silence around the table. The possibility that an entire species had been deliberately underperforming during their integration into galactic society was disturbing on multiple levels. We need more information, I decided. Informal conversation. See if she will explain her background. I found Maya in the recreation area, hanging upside down from a pull-up bar doing what appeared to be inverted sit-ups while having a conversation with 3 Corthanian soldiers who looked absolutely mesmerized. So then the chicken ran directly into the barn wall, knocked itself unconscious, and I just picked it up, she was saying, laughing at her own story. Easiest capture ever. Your planet has hostile avian species? One of the Corthanians asked seriously. What? No, chickens are not hostile. They are just really dumb and surprisingly fast. I cleared my throat. Lieutenant Kessler, may I have a moment? Sure, Commander. She dropped from the bar, landing lightly on her feet. What's up? I wanted to discuss your performance. You have exceeded expectations significantly. Oh, thanks. I am really enjoying the training here. Everyone is super strong and skilled. It is honestly challenging, which is great because I was worried it might be boring. Where exactly did you train? Your service record lists special operations assignments, but the details are classified. Maya's expression shifted slightly, becoming more guarded. Yeah, I cannot really talk about specifics. Sorry. Operational security and all that. I understand, but perhaps you can explain your general background. Your combat style is unusual, even for humans. She considered this for a moment. Okay, general stuff is probably fine. So, I grew up doing a lot of outdoor activities. Hiking, rock climbing, that sort of thing. Joined the military right out of high school, tested well for special programs, got selected for advanced training. Turns out I am really good at the whole combat thing, which was surprising because I was definitely the weird art kid in school who mostly just wanted to draw comics. You do not look like a typical special operations soldier. Yeah, I get that a lot. She grinned. Honestly, it is super useful. People underestimate me constantly, which is a huge tactical advantage. You all did it too. No offense, but everyone thought I would wash out immediately. Made it really easy to observe and learn everyone's capabilities while they ignored me. I blinked. That was deliberate? Of course. First rule of combat, gather intelligence. Letting everyone think I am weak and harmless while I studied their strengths and weaknesses. Best intel gathering method ever. This was simultaneously clever and slightly horrifying. So your friendly, cheerful demeanor is an act? What? No, I really am this cheerful. I genuinely like people and enjoy making friends. She paused. But it also happens to be tactically useful, so that is a bonus. Win-win. Grekthar had been right. Humans were terrifying. The following week brought the final evaluation, the command scenario. Each candidate would lead a mixed squad through a complex tactical situation with multiple objectives, enemy forces, and environmental hazards. Leadership ability, tactical thinking, and adaptability under pressure would all be tested simultaneously. Most candidates spent the preparation day reviewing tactical doctrine and drilling their squads. Maya spent it making friendship bracelets. It helps with team bonding, she explained when Scarvel asked what in the 17 hell she was doing. Plus they look cool. Want one? I do not have wrists, Scarvel pointed out. We can make it into an ankle bracelet. Same concept. Somehow, she convinced him to accept a woven bracelet in Draconis colors. Somehow, she convinced half her assigned squad to wear them. Somehow, it actually seemed to improve unit cohesion. Humans were definitely terrifying. The command scenario began at dawn. Maya's squad consisted of herself, Scarvel, 2 Corthanians, a Clixthar scout, and 3 soldiers from species I barely recognized. Their mission: infiltrate a fortified position, retrieve priority intelligence, and extract without casualties. The opposing force consisted of experienced Outpost 7 instructors playing the role of enemy combatants. I watched from the command center as Maya gathered her squad for the pre-mission briefing. All right, team. Here is the situation. Bad guys in a bunker. We need to get in and get data, then get out without anyone dying. Especially us. Question: that is not a briefing, one of the Corthanians protested. You have not outlined approach vectors, fallback positions, communication protocols, or— Right. Sorry. Got excited. Maya pulled up a tactical hologram. Okay, detailed version. Scree, you are our scout. Obviously. You go in first. Map enemy positions, report back. Scarvel, you and the Corthanians are our heavy hitters. Once we know where the bad guys are, you create a distraction here. She pointed to the front entrance. Loud. Obvious. Make them think that's the main assault. And where will you be? Scarvel asked, sneaking in the back with the rest of the team to actually complete the mission. While they are focused on you, we grab the data and bounce. Then we all meet at the extraction point, high-five, and celebrate not being dead. This plan is insane, Vexrel said flatly. Yeah. Probably. But it will work. Trust me. The scenario began. Scree performed his reconnaissance perfectly, identifying 7 defensive positions and approximately 20 enemy combatants. Scarvel and the heavy assault element moved into position, and on Maya's signal, launched a spectacularly noisy attack on the front entrance. Explosions, plasma fire, lots of shouting, everything designed to draw attention. Meanwhile, Maya led her infiltration team through a drainage culvert that barely showed up on the tactical maps, emerging inside the perimeter behind the enemy's defensive line. See? She whispered to her team. Bad guys always forget about drainage systems. Happens every time. They reached the intelligence vault with minimal resistance. Maya bypassed the security system in approximately 30 seconds using techniques that definitely came from somewhere classified. Got it? Let's go. The extraction should have been straightforward. Get back to the culvert, exit the perimeter, join the heavy assault team at the rally point. Except the scenario designers had planned for this. Enemy reinforcements appeared, cutting off their escape route. Okay, change of plans, Maya said calmly, assessing the new situation. We cannot go back the way we came, so we go up instead. Up? One of her teammates asked. Roof. Follow me. What followed was possibly the most unorthodox tactical maneuver I had ever witnessed. Maya led her team vertically through the facility using maintenance shafts, ventilation systems, and at one point what appeared to be decorative architectural features, moving upward while the enemy forces searched for them on ground level. They emerged on the roof, where Maya produced a grappling system from her gear. Zipline time, she announced. This will either be awesome or a terrible mistake. Probably both. They rigged lines to the perimeter wall and zipped across while the enemy forces below finally figured out where they had gone and started shooting. The heavy assault team provided covering fire, allowing the infiltration team to land safely and complete their extraction. Mission success. 0 casualties. Objective completed in record time. Maya high-fived everyone exactly as promised. In the debriefing, the senior tactical instructor looked like he was having some kind of existential crisis. Lieutenant Kessler, he began slowly. Your plan was reckless, improvised, and violated approximately 14 standard tactical protocols. Yep, Maya agreed. It also worked perfectly. Your team coordination was excellent. Your adaptability under changing conditions was superb, and your unconventional approach completely overwhelmed the defensive force. Thank you. I hate that it worked, he admitted. That is fair. The final rankings were posted the following morning. Of the original 47 candidates, 19 had washed out. Of those remaining, rankings determined their placement in advanced combat specializations. Maya Kessler ranked first. Not first among humans. Not first in her weight class. First overall above every Draconith heavy fighter, every Korthanian shock trooper, every specialized warrior from 16 different species. First, Scarvel found her in the commissary, celebrating with what appeared to be an entire cake she had somehow acquired. Human. Maya. I must apologize. She looked up, frosting on her nose. For what? For underestimating you. For mocking you. For assuming you were weak because you are small. Oh, that is okay. Everyone did that. No hard feelings. She offered him a fork. Want some cake? He accepted the fork, which looked comically tiny in his massive clawed hand. You are the finest warrior I have trained with. It is an honor to have fought alongside you. Ah, that is really sweet. You are pretty awesome too. That fire-breathing thing you do is so cool. They ate cake together in companionable silence for a moment before Scarvel asked the question that had been bothering him. Why did you let us underestimate you? You could have demonstrated your abilities immediately. Maya swallowed a bite of cake and considered the question. Because I wanted to see what everyone could really do. If I came in and dominated from day one, everyone would have adjusted their behavior. They would have held back, been cautious, tried to counter me specifically, but by seeming harmless, I got to see everyone at their actual best. Learned way more that way. You were studying us. Yep. Also, it was kind of fun watching everyone's faces when they realized the tiny human could actually fight. The looks were priceless. Scarvel made a sound that might have been a laugh. You are devious. Thank you. On my final day at Outpost 7 before rotation, I found Maya doing pull-ups while having yet another conversation, this time explaining human music to a confused Klicksthar soldier. Lieutenant Kessler. A moment? Sure, Commander. She dropped from the bar. What can I do for you? I wanted to thank you. For what? For teaching me that assumptions are dangerous. For reminding me that capability and appearance do not always correlate. For showing everyone here that underestimating an opponent is the fastest way to lose. She smiled that bright, genuine smile. You are welcome. But honestly, you would have figured that out eventually. Humans are just really good at being underestimated. It is kind of our thing. Is every human as capable as you? Oh no, I am definitely on the high end of the skill curve. But most humans are way tougher and more adaptable than we look. It is a survival trait from our evolution, I think. We are not the strongest or fastest or most heavily armored species, so we got really good at being clever, persistent and hard to kill. That is a terrifying evolutionary strategy. Yeah, it works pretty well though. As I left Outpost 7 that afternoon, I filed my final report to Galactic Combat Initiative headquarters. The summary was simple. Humanity had officially graduated from being a species of interest to being a species of concern, not because they were aggressive or expansionist, but because they possessed something far more dangerous than weapons or technology. They possessed the ability to consistently exceed expectations while making it look easy. 3 months later, I heard that Maya had been assigned to an elite multi-species strike force. 6 months after that, rumors circulated about an impossible mission success that could only have been accomplished by someone who did not understand the meaning of the word impossible. 12 months later, Maya Kessler was promoted to captain and given command of her own unit. And somewhere in a training facility on some distant world, another instructor was probably making the same mistake I made. They were probably looking at Captain Maya Kessler and thinking she looked delicate. They were probably about to learn a very important lesson. Never, ever underestimate a human. Especially not the small, cheerful ones with bright green eyes and an unsettling love for friendship bracelets. Those are the dangerous ones.